welcome to lecture 39, which is on the various applications of UAV. So here I am going to explain you what are the different applications where the UAV can be deployed. There are some applications which are listed over here and they are divided into three categories. The applications related to civilian applications, related to the environment applications and defense application, because initially the UAVs or the drones were developed for the defense applications. So if we see the list, it is a long list, where you can apply for different aspects of photography, different aspects of construction, mining, agriculture, in civilian applications. When we are talking of the environmental applications, because it has those special kind of sensors mounted on it, so air quality monitoring, and it can be used for crop monitoring, soil monitoring, and nowadays there is another upcoming area which is the underwater applications of the drone technology. And similarly, we have applications in the military and defense area. So we will concern more on the applications related to the civil and environmental. So here, if we are talking about the civil engineering subject as a whole, so here there are some examples which are listed in this slide, and these examples are related to the construction industry, which is the core area of a civil engineer, whether we are talking of the monitoring of the structures or infrastructure maintenance part of it. Traffic engineering is another area, traffic management, who is violating the rules. These are all the things can be monitored with the help of the drone technology. Public safety and disaster is another area where the drone has been used in a very extensive way to evacuate the people from the affected areas. Now, there are main area is the surveying and mapping. You can carry out the mapping, collect the data and carry out the mapping at a large scale. So, whether it is an infrastructure mapping or urban or in the road, very detailed mapping can be carried out. So, infrastructure planning for purpose also we require very detailed map, we require large scale map. So, all that is possible with the help of the drone technology. There are actually the procedure to reach to that application part. So, this procedure starts right from the data collection part, the flight planning part. So, we have to carry out the some kind of a project planning when we are collecting the data for a particular area, carry out the flight planning, collect the data, process this particular data when we have acquired it, and then apply it to the particular application, derive the useful results from this data. This is a LiDAR data, very high resolution data, and this has several million point inbuilt, and we can see here in this data trees, landscape, and even the power line and the electric wires, they are all very clearly seen. Every object is shown by its true height. It is not the representative height. So, location is also a true location of the object. So, one can have a complete view of the landscape in third dimension, which is not available from the normal map, topographical maps, and use this kind of data for infrastructure planning, for project planning, for monitoring, etc., etc. Now, the first and foremost application in civil engineering of the drone technology is surveying and mapping of the whole area. Whether we are talking of creating the orthophotos or maybe creating digital terrain model or contours or doing the volumetric calculations after doing the mapping of the whole area. So, when you are doing the mapping from this data, very minute details can be obtained. So, one can prepare a map at 1:200 scale, 1:500 scale, which is really a tough job when we are doing the ground survey. So, this shows here the tree ground cover, it has been mapped, and all those green circles are indicating here the crown cover. So you can estimate the biomass, and on the top of that the contours with the brown color, they are superimposed on there. So one can see how much is the elevation difference, which direction the slope is with this data. In traffic management, there are actually very large number of applications where the drone has been used for managing the traffic, again from flight planning to capturing of the image data to the data processing. This is all done, and then there are studies where even the vehicle has been located automatically from those drone images. So, in the traffic management, whether we are monitoring the traffic flow parameters, or we are observing the vehicle trajectories, or we are counting the number of vehicles, specific vehicle passing through time, or behavior of the pedestrians or the cyclist on the road. So, this all can be carried out with the help of the continuous images, continuous data which we are acquiring from the drone, and then analyzing this data in order to carry out the proper traffic management. So, we if we have to widen the road, for example, or we have to actually change the one way from two way to one way some of the roads. So, this all that monitoring can be carried out with the help of the data. So, is speed monitoring of the vehicle, and we know that there should be a very safe distance between the two vehicles to avoid the collision. So, warning which is issued to the driver or the person who is driving the vehicle, all that is possible if you have an intelligent transport system where the drone technology is playing very important role. Sports events where there is a very large gathering is there. So, the sports events are also monitored from the top. So, a drone is stable and continuously monitoring the activities near the stadium or at the stadium point. Then not only the images which are taken in the multispectral bands, visible part of the spectrum, but we are using the infrared images. So, this infrared images has additional advantage that you can take them in the night also, and they are working on the basis of the temperature difference. So, you can, wherever there is a temperature difference, you can identify the activity or the phenomena or the object. So, people have actually located the animals who are lost with the help of the infrared images. So, one can see that on the three images the animals have been identified, and animals have been counted also, how many numbers are there, what is there. You can even track their movement with the help of the successive images. Then these thermal images have also very important application in the power sector, inspecting the power grid or detecting the flow lines where the defect has also taken place. So, some of the components in the power sector, they get overheated. So, if just before the fault is developed, some components you find they are overheated. So, that temperature difference can be monitored very easily with these thermal images, or somewhere if there is a leakage of the pipeline, water pipeline. So, because of the water which is coming out at a jet speed, you will find the temperature there is low as compared to the temperature in the surrounding. So, one can identify particularly that spot where the leakage is taking place. Now, oil spill is a very common problem when the ships and when the vessels are moving in the sea. So, this location, spread of the oil, that also can be located with the help of those images, because this becomes like a hazard to the ocean population. Wildlife management, a very important activity. For example, the monitoring the movement of the elephants or locating the position of the tigers in the reserve park. So, in many countries this monitoring of the movement of those animals and uh, species, that is done with the help of uh, the drone technology. Pollution monitoring. So, if you have a sensor attached to this which can actually sense the level of pollution in the air at different levels, at different heights. So, this is all possible with the help of the drone. Then monitoring the transmission line. So, a lot of power engineers now actually using this data instead of going every day to the field and carrying out the physical checking. So, this monitoring the transmission line can be carried out with the help of the data which is collected by the drone, and some repair work or the extension work can be taken up. Now, these images are very useful also post disaster risk mapping. So, this is a post disaster risk mapping. The flood has taken place in the area and there are buildings which are actually submerged in the flooded area. So, how much area is flooded, how many buildings are affected. So, that kind of study is possible with the help of the because the flooding is a very recurring kind of a problem in India and many other countries. So, we have to take certain measures, protection measures, so that these kind of images can help us to devise to find out the critical areas and devise the measures in the region. Now, when the flood occurs, there are a lot of damages to the human life, lot of damages to the property, to the infrastructure, and some of these infrastructure, some of the properties are insured. So, insurance company are also interested to know the actual damage data. So, sometimes in the absence of such images or the ground truth which is obtained from the UAV, there were some fraud in the insurance claim. They were false also. But nowadays these images, drone can be flown to the area, and accurate estimation of the damage, whether it is damage to the crop or damage to the structure, that also can be calculated, and the insurance company can actually carry out the assessment of the payouts. Now, when the drought or disaster or other activities take place, then what happens is that sometimes the internet connectivity goes off, particularly after the earthquake activity. So, you do not have the connectivity, you are totally disconnected with the people of that area. Within that area, the people cannot communicate with each other. So, this is a very, very useful tool. It can provide the wireless connectivity temporarily to those areas where there is a problem of internet connectivity. So, you can see here that the two drones are working here and they are covering some area and they are communicating also, and providing they are communicating with those surrounding towers and providing the connectivity to those areas which are affected due to the disaster, and there is no connectivity, normal connectivity. Inspecting the sites. So, there are dam sites, for example, one has to inspect it regularly because failure of a dam can cause havoc to the area. So, this inspection is a very vital activity, and lot of field work has been reduced with the help of these UAV images. UAV images are sent to the dam site area, and then the administrator and engineers can analyze those images and see these images, that if there is any danger to the dam site. So, these are very, very useful tool when we are talking of the for example, if there is a deformation activity or if there is a sinking of the dam activity is taking place. So, one can minutely observe them and can find out very, very easily. This is the actual image, 558 images of the dam site in US, and a mosaic has been created, a seamless mosaic you can see you can't see the joints together, and they are all georeferenced with the real coordinate systems. So, one can see the reservoir very clearly, one can see the dam site and also can see the downstream of the dam. So, this kind of images are really very helpful from the planning and from the maintenance point of view, from the operational point of view of the reservoir. Uh, construction activity, whether it is the inspecting a particular building or monitoring the construction project, and particularly inspecting the high rise buildings after some earthquake take place, it is very important. So, this is used in lot of construction activity, in fact in monitoring the ongoing construction project, the drone is found to be very helpful. So, this particular slide here shows that there are 6 activities starting from the land survey to the building inspections, then providing the visual material, then monitoring on the site activity, security surveillance and mapping the data. So, a large amount of activities are carried out. So, here we are using more than one drone. We are using multiple drones together and at different heights. You can see there is one here on the top which is monitoring the activity number 1, 3 and 4. There is one just on the top of the structure or the buildings monitoring the activity number 3 and 5, and further down this is monitoring the activity number 4. So, different at different heights these drones are actually monitoring the different activities and they are also communicating with each other. So, a lot of data at the construction site uh, can be collected even without visiting the site every day. So, here you can see that the entire monitoring activity, as the construction is progressing floor wise, that entire monitoring can be carried out with the help of the drone. It will take the images and these images can be shared with the administrator or with the planner who is sitting several miles away from this particular site. Now, the unauthorized construction is another big problem, very big problem at many places where the plan of the building has not been cleared by the municipality or the local body, and the construction is made in an unauthorized way, and then the municipality is not able to actually collect the revenues also for such, because they do not have any information unless and until they visit the site. But this image, for example, is showing, the circle is showing that there is an unauthorized construction. The authorized one is shown by the blue color here, and the unauthorized construction is again shown, which is the extension of the blue color. And such unauthorized construction can be identified, and municipal can actually then impose the tax on proper tax, can collect the proper revenue from the owner of that particular building. So, it has been successfully, these images have been successfully used to develop the information system for municipal boards. In several industries, it has a lot of application, and this is showing the pipeline. For example, there is a pipeline which is running several kilometers from one place to another, and if the defect has occurred in the pipeline, it is not possible actually manually to inspect this pipeline every day and identify the sites. So, the drone is working here and monitoring this pipeline, and in case of any defect, that can be identified from the data which is collected by this drone, and that particular spot, immediately some measures, some repair work, maintenance work could be taken up. So, it has been found to be very useful and time saving in case of the applications where area covered is very large along a line. Mining activity. So, lot of miners, they are using this not only for identifying that how much area should be blasted in order to get that much of a material, but they also identify how much material per day is going out from their site. So, with the help of the drone system, the area is monitored, and one can see from the slide here also the um, post blast image and the pre blast image, and then you can carry out some kind of a mapping, profile mapping. What was the profile before, what is the profile afterward. On the top you can see the profile before, and the bottom one is the profile after. There is a sag here, so this is the material which has been actually removed from the blast. So one can identify what is the volume of the material which has come out from this particular place. So, this is a very useful technology which can even reduce the maintenance work. When you are monitoring the activities, then this is a blast profile here, and this blast profile says that earlier the ground was like a horizontal line. It is shown that this is the ground profile earlier, and this is the ground profile once the blast has taken place. So, everything can be computed now through the software, that how much is the volume of the material which is available. So, this is the mining stockpile measurement which has also been carried out with the help of the DEM data. So, you can create a 3D model of the stockpile, and once you create the 3D model, then computation of the volume is very easy. So, one can actually now correlate that estimate with the ground. So, this kind of work is very popular in the mining activity. So, the volume estimation is done for large number of projects, not only in mining, by the civil engineer, and this volume estimation activity can be very effectively performed because we can create a 3D model, or we have the point cloud data from that. Now, in forestry mapping, in forestry applications, we will find that it has lots of uses. So, we are using the drone images in forestry because there are certain areas where it is impossible to carry out the mapping in the forested region. So, we can actually have different sensors fitted to it, could be the optical sensor and could be the thermal sensor or the LiDAR data, because there are several beams which will penetrate to the ground also and give you the ground profile. So, fixed wing drones, as I explained in the earlier lecture also, can be used for the large scale mapping, while the micro copters drones, quadcopters kind of thing, they are used for very high precision mapping of the forested area. So, there are various activities which are shown here, that as far as the forestry mapping and management is concerned, you can actually use these images for orthophoto creation of the data, where you do not have the relief displacement present in the data. Then you can create a canopy surface model. So, in the canopy surface model, it is very easy to identify the amount of biomass which is available from there, and one can also carry out the study about the species, what kind of a species are present in the forested area. You can have a 3-dimensional tree, so one can actually estimate the height of the tree, also digital elevation model of the area or the 3D landscape. So, this digital elevation model could be further used to determine the slope and aspect, etc. Those are very important parameters. So, we can use this data if we have temporal data from the UAV with the growth model. So, growth of the forest area in the particular region. So, we can have change detection kind of a study, we can actually detect the each and every tree. So, there are studies, there are algorithms developed where automatically using the UAV images, the tree detection has been done. Not only the detection of individual tree, but identification of the species have been done. Now, change detection is the temporal images is actually giving us some data about the change, where either the deforestation activity is taking place, or maybe the change is due to the forest fire or due to some other human activity. So one can identify how much is the change in the forested area, where which are the specific locations where change is taking place, and the reason for it, why a particular region is experiencing the change as compared to the other regions. Then you see the agriculture sector. It is a big sector, a big area where drones have found very useful applications, whether we are talking of in agriculture, whether we are talking of the mapping of the crops in the area, whether we are monitoring the health of the crop at different seasons and in different growing seasons, or estimating the crop yield from a particular field in advance, uh, or health of the crop. So, suppose the crop is not healthy, crop gets some diseases, so some measures could be taken well in advance so that the crop can be protected. So, there are several studies in precision agriculture also. This has a lot of applications. So, in big way the agriculture sector, the drones are used for example, the spraying the pesticides in case there is an insect, the crop is being damaged by the insects. So, lot of fields application areas are there where drone has been frequently used to differentiate between the crops, to identify the suitable sites for crop going, as well as to assess the crop yield in advance. So, this is very important when we are talking about the sustainable development. So, you look the examples here, the precision agriculture. In the precision agriculture, we actually have the characteristics of the soil also, characteristics of the moisture content in the soil, then what is the type of agriculture, whether it is a rain fed agriculture or it is the irrigated agriculture. So, on the basis of those several parameters which we are collecting, then we can identify that how that a particular piece of land could be used for the maximum productivity. So, how maximum productivity could be obtained by growing a particular crop in that area. So, this precision agriculture area is another upcoming area where drone along with the other technology like the sensor based technology are there, IoT is there, and people are using now the mobile apps where the all the data will come into their mobile apps and they come to know immediately if there is any requirement of uh, irrigating the field, or if it is going to rain, then there is no requirement of irrigating that particular field tonight. So, that information is very useful. Monitoring the vegetation health so that one can take some precautionary measure in advance, spray some kind of a pesticides or take some other measures. So, here these images, because they are available in multispectral mode. So, we have a technology called NDVI, Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, which we are using very frequently in remote sensing. So, same with the help of the multispectral data, you can create NDVI images and monitor the area. So, here the dark green portion is indicating the vegetation is healthy, but the red areas everywhere shows that this is unhealthy vegetation. So, now this could be correlated with the other parameters. What is the reason why this particular vegetation is not healthy, and then accordingly some precautionary measures could be taken. Surveillance of the border areas, this is one area where the defense, the military would be more interested. So, you have to carry out the surveillance of a particular area or a border area. So, you have to stop the people crossing the border, or sometimes there is a smuggling of the items from one border to another. So, that also can be checked, and here in this slide you can see a multi-rotor, a quadcopter, and the quadcopter property is that it can stay at a point for a longer time. So, it can stay at some critical locations, you can deploy the drones and they can monitor that particular area regularly day and night, and you can actually do the surveillance of the border area, the sensitive areas. Now, in the field of health, supply of the medicine and supply of the blood has been carried out with the help of the drone technology, and particularly this kind of technology is very helpful for the uh, countries or for the locations where medical facilities are poor, where immediately there is a question of life and death of the people. For example, there are some areas in Uttarakhand where um, they are living, people are living in the remote area and proper medical facilities are not there, and it is very difficult to bring them down to the area where medical facilities are there because they need immediate attention. So, in such cases, the delivery of those life saving medicines or the blood delivery becomes very important, and it has been well documented and well tested in many countries. This has been a very successful technique. Now, everywhere we are talking of these smart cities and smart applications of that area. So, in a smart city, it has very lot of applications. So, along with the wireless technology, along with the other data which you are collecting from the handheld devices or wearable sensors or IoT, this particular drone technology has been found to be very useful in order to optimize the flow of the data and flow of the information to the people. Now, this is very interesting area. Earlier the drones were not allowed, they were banned to use by the filmmakers, but now that ban has lifted, and all around the globe now people are using the drone technology actually to make the films. So, they our collection of the data or showing those peculiar sites where it was not possible to go and take the pics, it has become very, now you can show very adventurous sites and those locations where it was really not possible to go by the traditional method. Now, during the night time, you know, there are many entertainment show where these drones have been used in swarms, in a group of drones together. So, this is a Lady Gaga Super Bowl show where hundreds of drones have flown to the sky in the night and they are making a shape of the eagle. So, all those spots, bright spots, what you see is a micro drone. So, they can actually communicate with each other and fly in the combination. So, in many countries now, you know, entertainment, for example, this is a light show of 100 drones. They are used to make different shapes and different combinations to enter the people. If we look at the market potential of the drones in the different areas, which I have covered: infrastructure, agriculture, transport, security, media, insurance, telecom and the mining. You can see from this slide itself that as far as the infrastructure sector is concerned, there is a maximum potential, highest potential is there, and then the next sector is the agriculture sector. So, this slide shows that where the potential exists, which are those areas where drone is used and planned to be used in the future, and there are some commercial cases, these areas which have been identified where drone could be further explored. That is all. Thank you very much.